Hello, church. I hope that you have had a very, very Merry Christmas here on this Monday after Christmas weekend. I do want to take a moment and thank my staff and thank all of the volunteers that helped make Christmas Eve such a special night and then turned around and did it again Christmas Day. I thank you for being a part of that. I thank you for coming and sharing in that. We are so blessed by our church and are super thankful. So years ago, I did a sermon right after Christmas. It was kind of felt like the timetable did this weekend, but I think Christmas Eve was on the Friday, Christmas Day was Saturday, and then we did church on Sunday. My kids recall it as the Trinity of Church, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so I remember I did a sermon on that Sunday called The Christmas Hangover. And it was really meant to be kind of a metaphor for the feelings we have after Christmas, that it just feels like we crash at 60 miles an hour into an immovable wall. That you have all this joy, you have all this celebration, the packages get opened, the food gets eaten, everything is grand, and then all of a sudden it's over. It's over. There's this whiplash effect that I think that happens for all of us after Christmas. And then we wake up the day or two after Christmas, and Christmas goes back in a box. And it goes back in the attic, and we store it there until we bring it out next December. And I think because of that, I believe that behaviors lead to practices. And what happens, I think, emotionally for us sometimes is that as we put Christmas away, we can begin to put the Christmas spirit away. That we can begin to think that it just is something that happens for a limited window one time a year, but that's just not true. You and I both woke up in a world this morning that still has darkness in it, that still has chaos in it. And so the story I share is an after Christmas story that happened to Jesus. And it comes from Matthew chapter 2, beginning in verse 13. It says, it was right after the angels had brought them and the Magi had come and all the good stuff has happened. It says, when they had all gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. He said, get up. Take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. So he got up, took the child, his mother, during the night and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, out of Egypt I called my son. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and the vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what he said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice in Ramah was heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. Jesus is born. There's a great celebration. Magi from the east come to see him. They bring gifts of frankincense and myrrh and gold, and everything is grand and everything is great, and this prophecy has been fulfilled, and then all the real world is back, and it crashes hard that there's evil out there that wants to destroy. And so thankfully Joseph picks Jesus up and he takes Mary, and they escape to Egypt as the angel had told them. But here's what I find fascinating, and I don't want to oversimplify this. But in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of this genocide, in the middle of this darkness, Joseph takes Jesus with him, right? I mean, it's his son, his stepson, if you will. But he takes Jesus with him. I think the key for us is we re-enter a broken world where there is darkness, where there certainly is evil, where there is genocide masquerading itself as some form of birth control in this country. It is our responsibility to remember that we take Jesus with us after Christmas. Jesus doesn't go back in the box. Jesus wasn't just the reason for the season. Jesus is the reason, period, for all of life. And so here we are after Christmas, and we are kind of in this whiplash effect. I just want to remind you today, Jesus doesn't go back in the box. He wants to travel with you. That is the wonderful thing about our faith, is that it does and should travel and go with us everywhere we go. So as we begin to look forward to a new year, the coming of 2023, I pray that we won't put our faith in a box and put it in the attic, just to drag it out again next year. That our lives will have been changed, and that change will lead us to want others to know the love that we know from Jesus Christ. Church, I do pray you've had a merry weekend. I do want to share here as I close that I am really sensitive to the fact that there were many people inside our church body who experienced Christmas for the first time without a loved one. And my heart breaks for you. And I remember that my own time in that season without my mom. And so I just want to say to you this morning or this afternoon or whenever you're watching this, we love you and that you're not walking alone. And we recognize that Christmas might have been bittersweet. But the good news is that Jesus travels with you. He's there to walk with you. He is to comfort you. He is indeed the Prince of Peace. So know that I love you and I love our church. And I look forward to coming to you next week when it will be a new year. Take care.